Hi again. After a couple months, I am putting on some lotion and then I'm gonna get started on this video. So I guess I should give you an explanation of where I've been. My allergies are quite bad. I promise I do not have COVID. I'm currently burning some incense paper. I really recommend it. It has rose, sandalwood, and honey. It smells amazing. Drinking water. You should drink water too. So, I think my last video that I made was in May. It's August. Several things have happened since then, I suppose. I actually lost a good friend at the beginning of June, and that was quite difficult, and I flew home to North Carolina for the funeral, and around that same time I also started a new job, which I think I mentioned in my vlog, and I love it. I really do. I love it. I love my team, but it's a lot more stimulating and challenging than my last job, so I feel like I've been really, really busy. My birthday was at the end of June. It was so fun. I had a Euphoria themed party and it was really good. I feel like I've had a lot of birthdays that aren't great in the past, so it was definitely one of the best birthdays I've ever had. During all of that, I've been doing some group therapy and regular one-on-one therapy with my therapist, and yeah, I've found it quite hard to keep up with people over the summer. It's a combination, I think, of me being busy working on myself and trying to work through things and keep solid mental health going, and also being post-pandemic and having had a year of not being able to see people but really wanting to, and then now that we finally were able to, it's like there's so many people I need to see and so many things I need to keep up with them, and it's just really overwhelming. So it's been a really good summer, but it's also been hard. Also, something that I did between my last video and now is, I think I mentioned in one of the videos that I uploaded that I run a website called Midnight Woman, and I started it in 2018, and it's a online platform where people can share anonymous stories about anything. And I've been working on a redesign for the site and kind of a new creative direction. Like, we got a new logo. It's a completely new vibe than what we started with. And the website went live at the beginning of August, actually. And that's been really, really nice. I took the entire pandemic as a break from Midnight Woman, and really wanted to think through it and reimagine it and really make sure I create adequate space for those stories that people are so amazing to share with me and everyone else, and do it justice. And I'll link it down below if you're interested in looking at it. But I thought I would check in and talk to you guys about books I'm looking forward to reading in the rest of the year. I've read some really good books lately. I read my first Rachel Cusk. I read Outline, and I just finished that. I absolutely loved it. I read someone's review on Goodreads that said that Outline trilogy taught them to kind of look at things and situations differently in their life from then forward, like after they read it. And I think that that's spot on. It feels like a sort of microscopic look at situations, relationships, and human behavior, and it's really thought-provoking, and I underlined a lot in that book, so I really liked that. I also just recently read Dream Work by Mary Oliver. I absolutely loved it. I don't know too much about poetry. I kind of just read it to enjoy it. I can't really think about it too critically because I don't know very much about it, but it was so beautiful, and I read it on the beach when I was on vacation. I also hit the shell jackpot. I'll show you some of them. Actually, this is one of my favorite ones. And then I think this one is really cute as well. Okay, let's talk about books. That's what we're here to do. I've pulled like a little stack here. There's a couple more, honestly, other than this, but this stack, books that I'd like to read before the end of the year. I'll go through some of these. I will say, actually, hold on. I am currently reading Maggie Nelson's On Freedom. I got a NetGalley copy for that. It comes out September 7th. And Maggie Nelson is one of my favorite authors, as I've said already so much in the couple videos that I've uploaded. But I got approved for an advanced copy of that, and that's very exciting. I was very excited when I got that email. My Kindle says I'm like 6% through it.
Looking strong, John.
I really like it so far. I will admit willingly that I am not intelligent enough, I feel like, for everything that Maggie is saying, and she is so smart and so sharp, and her ideas are a lot more elevated, I think, than my own existing ideas of, you know, liberation and things like that, especially after reading the Argonauts. I feel like I've learned a lot. I've underlined a lot of words that I didn't know, and I'm woman enough to admit that. And yeah, but it says, let me give you like a little synopsis. Drawing on a vast range of material from critical theory to pop culture, to the intimacies and plain exchanges of daily life, Nelson explores how we might think, experience, or talk about freedom in ways responsive to the conditions of our day. For Nelson, thinking publicly through the knots in our culture, from recent art world debates to the turbulent legacies of sexual liberation, from the painful paradoxes of addiction to the lure of despair in the face of the climate crisis, is itself a practice of freedom, a means of forging fortitude, courage, and company. Says it's an invigorating, essential book for challenging times. And that's what it's been so far. I have kind of had to take it in smaller bits because it feels so heady for me. I'm also picking up a physical copy on September 7th from my local bookshop. And I wonder if I can show you. Yeah, so one of my local bookshops is called The Bookshop in Nashville, and I love going there. There's like 2 indie bookshops here in Nashville that I frequent. The Bookshop in East, and then Parnassus Books in Green Hills, and I live in Green Hills. Parnassus is owned by Ann Patchett, the author. And I was just there today, actually, and I was at the bookshop yesterday. It's basically how my weekends go. But, yeah, I'm picking up a copy of On Freedom on September 7th when it comes out to have a physical copy. And I'm also picking up Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney that day as well. I pre-ordered a copy. I've loved Sally Rooney that I've read so far. My favorite is Conversations with Friends. I think I might have mentioned that before. But Beautiful World, Where Are You is a very anticipated book, and I'm very excited to read that. That's one of the main things I'm excited about reading in the second half of the year. and then a couple others here. So let's just go through them, shall we? The first one, I will say, the owner of the bookshop talked me into this one. It's called Important Artifacts and Personal Property from the collection of Lenore Doolin and Harold Morris, including books, street fashion, and jewelry, by Leanne Shapton. If you don't know, Leanne Shapton is an artist and writer and art director, seemingly jack of all trades. Yeah, I haven't read any Leanne Shapton and I've really wanted to, so while I was at the bookshop yesterday, I picked up guest book Ghost Stories by Leanne Shapton, and while I was checking out, the owner was like, have you read this other book of hers? And I was like, no, I've never even heard of this one. And it's a pretty experimental type form of this relationship. It's fiction, and this says Shapton's marvelously inventive and invented auction catalog. The 325 lots up for auction are what remain from the relationship between Lenore Doolin and Harold Morris, who aren't real people but might as well be. Through photographs of the couple's personal effects and the usual auction items, the story of a failed love affair vividly and cleverly emerges. I'm really excited about that. I really like experimental form, and there's a blurb on the back from Amy Sedaris, so it has to be good, but this is what it looks like on the inside. And it all comes together from the captions on these items, so I think it'll be really cool. And it's a short read, so I'm excited about that. And then I'm hoping to get through Guest Book by Leanne Shapton, which is sort of like ghost stories, I believe. And it's a collection of stories. A woman returns from a visit to Alcatraz with an uncomfortable feeling. A tennis prodigy collapses after he wins, crediting them to an invisible, not entirely benevolent presence. Guest Book beckons us through the glimmering, unsettling evidence that marks our paths in life. Blurbs on the back from Miranda July, Sheila Hetty, and God, her end pages are just so beautiful. And I think this has pictures too. Yeah, it has pictures and writing as well. So I'm really excited about that. I think if I don't get to it sooner, I will probably read this in October as a little spooky kind of read. And another thing that I might read in October, if not sooner, kind of along the same vibe, is this thriller, Mirrorland by Carol Johnstone. This was a recommendation from my friend Michelle, who went with me to the bookshop yesterday. It's a thriller suspense. The blurb on the front is by Stephen King, so he's the king for that reason. The startling twists of Gone Girl and the haunting emotional power of Room, a thrilling psychological suspense novel about twin sisters, the man they both love, and the dark childhood they can't leave behind. Sounds very good. Hoping it's just kind of a real page turner, kind of sucks me in, pushes me forward on my reading goal this year. And I'm excited to read that. So this is Michelle's copy, and I'm thankful to her for letting me borrow it. I will be finishing this in a couple weeks, actually. I'm on week 10 or 11. I'm on week 11. This is called The Artist's Way. I'm not sure if I've talked about this in one of my other videos, but it's by Julia Cameron. Sort of a self-help book for the creative self. The Artist's Way, a spiritual path to higher creativity. I've been doing a class sort of with this book, and I've been meeting with a group every Tuesday, working through the weeks of this book. It was the leader of the class is my therapist, and she kind of gathered different women that she knows, not just her clients, but otherwise, and there's 8 of us total in all different places. Like, there's one girl in England, there's some in California, and yeah, it's just been really, really refreshing and nice, and it's been a surprisingly fitting tool for what I've been going through in therapy, and going back and trying to heal some things so that my creative self can move forward productively and healthily. And it's really helped with getting my website, Midnight Women, back up. I feel like the things that this book teaches are just about self-healing and recovering, you know, self-protection and a sense of self that's totally regulated by you instead of other people and trauma we might have experienced. And that's been really, really powerful, and I am thankful for that. I really want to read this, Black Swans by Eve Babbitt. My middle name is Hope, like Audrey Hope from Gossip Girl. I don't know if you've watched Carly's video or if you watched UnCarly. She just did a video on books that Audrey reads in the Gossip Girl reboot. She's kind of the bookworm character. I also think she's like kind of the Blair character, like from the original, which is interesting. But she was reading this in one episode, and I read Sex and Rage by Eve Babbitt, and I loved it. It's actually what got me out of my like years-long reading slump. It's the first book I read when I started like reading voraciously again, and for some reason Eve's like dry wit and captivating like look at California in the 60s, 70s was really captivating to me, and I loved it. So this is a collection of stories, and I'm really excited to read this one. And it's just a gorgeous cover. Like, I understand why they put it in the Gossip Girl reboot. Someone reading this is just like, yeah, if I'm reading this out in public, people are gonna be like, she's hot. And that's correct. I picked this up at the bookshop yesterday, and I saw it briefly on Goodreads. I don't think anyone I follow on BookTube has read it yet. It's called The Ones Who Don't Say They Love You by Maurice Carlos Ruffin. I think the cover is gorgeous. The typeface is probably what caught my eye. There's a blurb on the back from Ramon Alam. I think that's how you say his name, but he wrote Leave the World Behind, and that was one of my favorite reads from last year. Stories of the people who make up a beloved American city, New Orleans. Stories are intimate invitations to hear, witness, and imagine lives undeniably New Orleanian, yet largely universal, written by a lifelong NOLA resident and one of our finest new literary voices. I'm excited about that, actually. The last one that I have here is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. This is a memoir. I actually like seeing everyone talk about this on Book Talk, and I, for some reason, thought it was fiction. From what I heard about it, because people have said it's like kind of a suspense, like page turner, but it's actually a memoir. Says it's a prismatic revolutionary memoir, an electrifying account of a relationship gone bad, and a bold dissection of the mechanisms and cultural representations of psychological abuse. And in flipping through it, it's like Dream House as sex and death. Dream House as Mrs. Dalloway. Dream House as pop single. And, you know, I think it's the reimagining of this story in a bunch of different ways. And I think that's how I've worked through my own trauma, is looking through it through all of these different lenses to try to understand it and comprehend it and understand how my body is holding it and storing it. And I'm really interested to see how this is, because I've heard nothing but great things. Yeah, that's all for today's video. Hopefully I don't fall off the face of the planet for 2 months again. Hopefully I do make another video soon, but I appreciate you being in this small corner of the internet with me, and I do think that BookTube is one of the best places on the internet, aside from Midnight Woman, of course. I'm biased. And I will see you next time. Bye.